Good morning, my dear friends. It happened, we finished the first part of this year's Wow Garden project, which is 2025. We traveled a really long distance. We visited gardens in Lubelszczyzna, Wielkopolska, Śląskie, Małopolska, Mazowieckie, Kujawsko-Pomorskie. Where haven't we been? We were in many places and we really did a kind of tour all over Poland. I hope you've already seen them, the videos from the gardens from this year's edition of the Wow Garden project. And if not, in a moment I'll remind you of all of them here and invite you to watch them in full. If you want to stay up to date, of course, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel and also watch other videos, not just from the Wow Garden project, because there are really a lot of them. Remember to share the video, give it a thumbs up and write a comment about which of these gardens in this edition of the Wow Garden project is your number one. Write it now in the comments. So my dear friends, let's begin this magical journey through the gardens of this edition of the Wow Garden project. We started our garden visits with Beata and her garden full of treasures. It was an amazing journey, a journey between a kind of modern flair somewhere and all sorts of antiques that appeared in Beata's garden. Beata really carefully collected everything. She chose a fantastic garden with a beautiful drainage ditch, which was a very attractive element of this garden. There was a relaxation area, there was a shady garden area that was hidden behind a really old barn, which Beata's father brought and assembled himself. Really a lot of interesting atmospheric places. Beata also talks about them on her YouTube channel, so I encourage you to check out her YouTube channel as well. And of course, let us know what you liked most in Beata's garden full of treasures. The second garden in this edition of the Wow Garden project is a fantastic purple garden at Edyta's place. A garden where purple really blended in almost everywhere. In a truly modern place, because there's a modern house, a modern garden, beautifully arranged flower beds, slightly raised, with the edges of those beds made of stones. It really looked very good. And that purple, which was basically everywhere in this garden, purple was spreading, blending from one plant to another, from light purple through lilac, even those very pale purples to really dark purple plants. I asked you there if you are able to tell how many of those purple plants there are. There were guesses, but I don't think anyone was correct. I encourage you to look at the garden again, so you can admire those beautiful purple plants once again. I especially encourage those who really love this color, because the way Edyta arranged these flower beds is truly a masterpiece. But besides that, of course, there were other zones in this garden. We also left one zone to show in the second part of the Wow Garden project, because remember, this isn't really the voting for the most beautiful garden according to you yet. This is just the halfway point of our project for now. Later, in about a month to a month and a half, we'll go there a second time, and then we'll record a video where you'll be able to vote. However, I encourage you to already support the gardens that are your number one, so the amazing purple garden as number 2 from Edyta. I encourage you to write whether you liked it and what you liked most about it. And now it's time for the third garden, which is actually located quite close to the previous garden, but only if we're talking about distance. However, in terms of how it looks, it's really a completely different garden. This is Julka's garden, which we numbered 3, the Garden of Magical Chaos. And there, just like a real fairy, Julka rearranges different elements in her garden, as if she really wants to conjure something up. A beautiful, beautiful place that isn't exactly perfect, but it has an amazing atmosphere and a great sense of maturity and soul. A soul that you can really see in the garden, which is a reflection of its owner, because Julka is truly a crazy character, and it's a beautiful garden with rustic elements and a fantastic greenhouse that isn't really a greenhouse. By the way, if you haven't seen it, make sure to watch the whole episode with the place where plants are transplanted, where there's an even smaller seed bed with a fantastic terrace and with other beautiful elements as well. Be sure to check it out and be sure to write a comment, because Julka tries to reply to all the comments. So it will be an extra plus and encouragement for her to create an even cooler space in her garden. Straight from Julka's place, as is our tradition, we went to a garden that is completely different. We went to the border of Wielkopolska and Kujawsko-Pomorskie, to Klaudia's place and her garden, which is only 16 meters wide, but it's really very long, and that's exactly what we asked you about in this episode from Klaudia's garden. It was a garden like a green labyrinth, which got number 4 from us. I hope you've already seen it, and if not, check it out, because it really looks like a labyrinth. A lot of interesting plants, like some even 10-15 years old, which create these rooms of spaces, interesting shapes, and you can really hide there, or even hide well, which Klaudia actually did when we were looking for her. A garden made up of many zones. A relaxation zone, a decorative zone, a vegetable zone, and even a zone with a greenhouse that's meant for photos. It's really worth seeing this garden, and be sure to write what you like most about it. And don't forget that Klaudia also has her own profile, this time on Facebook. In the description of this video, I'm giving you links to all the profiles of our participants. From Klaudia's place, we went further into Greater Poland, but this time closer already to Opole. We went to the garden of Saint Idzi. It's kind of a new form of garden that I wanted to show you as part of the Wow Garden project. Now, a different form and a completely different approach to gardening, because this is a garden that's next to a monastery, and it's really an open park garden that has been created over the past 20 years. Right now, it's managed by Patricia and Karol, who are creating interesting additional English-style flower beds. In this garden, just like in an arboretum, we have fantastic specimens of trees and shrubs that are rare in Poland. That's why I wanted to show it to you. And as someone pointed out in the comments, this garden should actually be the beginning of a new series. Well, that's right, this starts a new series. A series in which we will show gardens that are open to the public, but I think that will be next year. And now I encourage you to watch the episode from this garden, the Garden of St. Idzi. And write if you like this garden and if you want this new garden series. Can you imagine a garden that never ends? A garden where wherever you turn there's a new flower bed and completely new plants. If you can't imagine such a garden, then I encourage you to watch episode 6 from Basia's garden. From the garden we called the Garden of 10,000 Plants. Although I dare say there are much more. Basia talks about plants with great fascination. About how, while traveling around Poland, she basically visits every nursery to buy that dream plant and plant it in the right spot. She also told us what it looks like for her throughout the whole season, meaning how it changes. Are the plants always in the same place? Does she find some new spot for them? And she shared her thoughts. She also shared various aspects of gardening, like gardening hacks, for example, how to make the border of a flower bed look nice and how to make the plants grow really well. For example, she talked about roses. She has her own way to make roses bloom beautifully. In a flash, we moved from Barbara to Krystyna, and the garden also had a different character. Just like at Basia's, there were lots of colors and textures. At Krystyna's, we have total chill, peace, greenery, and an eco-friendly use of the garden, a green, ecological garden where we were especially impressed by the beautiful natural wildflower meadow. A meadow like that where basically nothing was added. Natural plants that appeared there, which are very eco-friendly, and which are a place where a lot of different insects, pollinators, and small mammals like hedgehogs really live. In a garden where there is peace and quiet, and that's how this garden is supposed to be. A garden that has a part reminiscent of the Italian Tuscany, meant for relaxation, where fantastic varieties of grapevines grow on the terrace, and where there is also a vegetable garden that was built to make use of a small slope. All of this is done in such a calm way with an ecological approach, really fantastic. If you don't believe me, I encourage you to see it, especially that beautiful flower meadow. I encourage you, and write in the comments what you like the most about this garden. On this year's Wow Garden Project tour, we were really drawn to Wielkopolska, because here's another garden, this time actually in the very heart of Wielkopolska, just outside Poznań. The garden at Katarzyna's, which was named the Amazing Fairy Tale Garden. But is it really a fairy tale garden, and is it amazing? Well, take a look at these shots and see for yourself by watching this whole episode. The garden, which, as Katarzyna told us, changed from a Japanese-style garden into a perennial fairy tale garden, I have the impression that everything there is incredibly well thought out. Every plant has its place, and even when it's being transplanted, everything is carefully considered first to make sure the plant will be as comfortable as possible. And on top of that, the remnants of that stylized Japanese garden, which add a bit to the fairy tale effect of the whole garden, make an incredible impression. The garden is relatively small, but a large part of it is taken up by old trees, under which, as Kasia said, not everything wants to grow. In fact, nothing really wants to grow there. That's why it's an incredible challenge to arrange everything beautifully. Watch it, let us know what you like about this garden, and of course don't forget to write which garden from this edition of the Wow Garden Project is your favorite. you have a small garden, you definitely need to watch the 9th episode of this Wow Garden Project series as well. The episode at Marta's, which we called Suburban Country Garden, because it's basically in the countryside, but actually it's in the city because it's in the suburbs. It's built in such a way that it could actually pass for a great country garden, but if we position ourselves just right, we'll see some modern urban touches there. And that's exactly the blend of those two types of gardens that worked out great for Marta in this garden. We have both a relaxation area and a vegetable area there, and a chicken coop and a porch that's arranged as a mini terrace because there's no space for anything bigger. And of course, there's a strictly rural flower bed with perennial and annual plants. Take a look at how it looks, because this is the last episode we recorded. Why is it the last one? I'll explain soon. Listen, this year we visited 9 gardens, not 10, as I said at the very beginning, but that's because one of the participants withdrew. It was simply a force majeure. Already during the implementation of this project, one participant simply withdrew. There was no time to replace him with a new participant, so I decided there would be 9 participants. I think this Super 9 is really super. And these gardens are so diverse that everyone will find something for themselves. After presenting these 9 gardens, I hope things have become a bit clearer for you and you already have your favorites. So write about your favorites. Write which garden number you like the most. And also write what else you would like to see in the Bob Garden project, because we still have the second part of this project. Maybe we'll modify our plans and we'll add something that interests you the most.